Why don't we get started? I think some people will trickle in. It's a great pleasure and honor to welcome Dr. Atriur Rahman, who, as you all know, is the 10th governor of Bangladesh Bank, starting in 2009. His copious bio and many books and many accomplishments are listed ad nauseum on our website, so I'd encourage you to pay attention to them. I think for me what's most interesting is the topic of the talk today, which, as you can see from there, is about socially responsible financing. I presume that means paying attention, among other things, to disadvantaged populations, and in particular with a view to financial stability, which of course has been both a great issue, both for natural disaster type reasons as well as, shall we say, man-made inflicted disasters from different parts of the world. And central bankers have a great role to play. My very good friend and classmate has just become central banker for India, and I'm seeing him tomorrow.
I just met him yesterday.
Yes. So we had the same discussion last night, and about what is the role of financial inclusion.
I left the book with him yesterday, actually.
Okay, no problem. So it's nice to have an embarrassment of central bankers, embarrassment of riches of central bankers passing through here. And I know we've got a lot of distinguished people in the audience who know a great deal about Bangladesh and about finance and about technology and so on. Close to my heart, of course, as an academic is the fact that Dr. Rahman's an academic as well.
Used to be,
and is struggling to contain his academic self within his policy-making self. So let me not say anything more, but welcome you to Harvard, and thank you for taking the time. I'll sit here, and you can make your comments. Usually we open it up at some point to the audience so that we can have a conversation. As you see fit. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Tarun. I must thank Tarun and his team actually for really, I would say, organizing this talk, and also, always in touch. You have a great team. They have always been in touch with my office and has been organizing things in a manner which is quite impressive, I must say. You can just, the theme which I have chosen to speak here is a bit challenging, I would say, for a central banker. And when I started talking in these terms initially, in my early stint, I was an academic, so people sometimes took it with a grain of salt. They said that the academics talked great, big things, but they hardly, have been implemented. So they probably will goof it up. They will make the financial system even more, complex and even more, unstable. So that was the impression. But thanks God and thanks to our hard work and the team, at the end of the day, Bangladesh looks pretty stable, and economic performance is one of the best in the regions, actually. And my colleagues, particularly my counterpart in India, is having a lot of problem. And as a new governor, he has done tremendous job. And he has at least reined on and stabilized for a moment the rupee, which was going bizarre, I would say. But we never had this experience. Bangladesh currency remained pretty stable, and we were, in fact, appreciating. That was difficult for me to stabilize it. And I had to buy dollars from the market to keep the rate at least floating. So that and stabilized it, and not much instability. So that's very difficult. But then, why people should think about socially responsible financing? Why only for not financing? Here in this country, people really went for financing without caring what impact it is having on the real economy, whether that finance is commensurate with the impact on the real output or real income. So that really created a lot of imbalances, macroeconomic imbalances in most of the countries, and apparently, even today, the countries continue to follow that path. I would say, instead of changing the codes and getting into more inclusive finance, they continue to go for similar kind of excessive financing, without, going for the productive kind of investment, and in a way, quantitative easing is also a continuation of that kind of, financing. Regulatory imperatives or regulatory concerns are still, bothering me. I don't know, if I think that we never opted for that easy option. We went for a hard one, and I think ours is more stable and paying better. So I'll talk about this, some of the socially responsible financing initiatives, not only for Bangladesh. I'll also pick up some of the programs from India and other South Asian countries, because it's a South Asian institute. I thought I better give a glimpses of the other South Asian, but I don't have knowledge, in-depth knowledge of those areas. So my focus will be more on Bangladesh, which is expected, and but I'll also touch on other countries which they are doing, and I hope we can learn each other, from each other. And yesterday, all our South Asian governors we sat, including Rajan, and we agreed on that meeting, SARC Finance meeting, that we should meet more frequently, and we should take issues, and pick up issues which matters all of us, and we should talk to each other, we should learn from each other, we should have a common website and all that. So it's all happening, and we are coming forward together, actually. So as Tarun just mentioned about, financial stability has been the priority issue everywhere, and the global financial crisis really are focused on that. Even today, the global setting standards in Basel, they're all talking on this, the how to stabilize the financial sector. And this has been a national priority, regional priority, and global levels. And Basel-based financial supervisory standard setters, they are all talking about new macroprudential supervisory guidelines and revamping macroprudential guidelines to stabilize, and G24 also working on that. But the global liquidity expansion out of line with global output growth, a key cause of last global crisis, continue in quantitative easing and advanced economy. As I mentioned about it, still we have not learned much lessons probably. We are still, not relating our, monetary expansion with the expansion of the real economy. I felt it because in Bangladesh, immediately after I became the governor, we are in the thick of the financial crisis, So what we did, we loosened our monetary policy a bit, and then we saw that monetary expansion taking place a bit faster than the output growth, but that immediately led to a stoke on inflation. Inflation went up to 13%, but we didn't wait a minute. We immediately rained on it. We went for restrained monetary policy, and then brought the monetary targets at par with the real output targets. So we brought it down, and now from 13% in a couple of years' time, we now have 7% of inflation, and it's consistently falling, and this is giving a very good handle for us. I think the inflation is the biggest enemy of the poor, and this is a very, very regressive taxation, as you know. So my interest will remain on containing inflation, but not at the cost of growth. I would say not at the cost of inclusive growth, because when I make a monetary policy, I always say that we will be very restrained, but not restrained when we talk about agriculture, we talk about SME, when we talk about green investment. There we will be liberal, but on others, if it is come to speculative kind of investment, we will be quite tough. And that's how we're walking on two legs, the financial inclusion and financial stability. That's the model we are following. Regulatory reform alone will not ensure future stability. However, risk build-up triggering the global crisis arose more from regulatory compliance negligence in good times rather than from shortcomings of regulations. These regulations are there, but again in good times we forget and we allow, we allow to really swim with the current, and we don't want to stand tough and take actions when time is good. And for that matter, it's very, I would say, quite significant that when I stood against the current, that I rain on this monetary expansion, my edifice was burnt. I didn't care. I said, go on doing this, but we will bring the economy on the hill and we will not allow our things to go out of our control. And so the monetary policy we followed is very restrained monetary policy we followed at that time. And now those people who burnt my edifice come to me to congratulate. He said that if you didn't do that, we would have all gone. Many of the banks would have gone red by now, but we have not allowed that to happen actually. So reorienting motivations away from imprudent, greed-driven risk-taking to socially responsible business ethos will be a requisite for lasting stability besides the ongoing regulatory reforms. Of course, we should do regulatory reforms, and which we do. I always focus on mainstream kind of central banking, but at the same time, let's add on this new kind of banking, which is much more socially responsible, much more inclusive in nature, much more responding to the needs of the disadvantaged. That's how the central bank everywhere, even here, central bank is playing a very I would say important role in terms of reviving the growth, and others are, the ECB has been doing the same. We are doing the same, but we are a bit focused. I said we will put in more on the inclusive growth part rather than on the overall. The government can take care of them. Or the rich one can take care of themselves. But let's work on the poorer guys. Largely ignored until lately by the advanced economies, socially responsible financing has been growing in both developing and developed economies, driven by growing demand worldwide from civil society coalitions and movements. And I think this has been a demand. I have been a very active member of the civil society, Hassan bhai, and so I thought when I got a chance, I better implement some of those ideas, and we have started doing that. So this is a socially responsible financing has been there. And again, a lot of new things are coming up. Cooperation and networking among socially responsible financial, non-financial business and regulators has been flourishing under such umbrellas as UN Global Compact. Many of you may know about Global Compact. The last week there was a summit in New York. About 1,200 of the corporate bosses and also financiers came in New York, and we talked about the corporate social responsibilities and 2015 post 2015 sustainable development goals. They want to play socially responsible role. The business themselves they want to, but how to operationalize is a big challenge, and we have been doing it in much more organized corporates called banks. In Bangladesh, I have been doing a bit of it. That's why I was the only governor in that summit, and I spoke on some of these ideas, and it's becoming quite and everybody appreciating that if the central bank takes a move and a complementary role, it's easier for the government to really do that, because government has a budget which is only about 1/3 of what we have as a fund, in terms of loan portfolio. So I thought if we make a small difference, that makes a huge difference on the condition, quality of life and all that. So central bank should really care for ultimately what is the objective of public policy. The only objective is to improve the living condition of the people, and also particularly the disadvantaged ones. So why not central bank should also play that role, because you are really thriving on the deposits put by the ordinary people. You're not even 10% of the equity really, not even the 10% of the total deposits is equity of the owners of the banks, so-called owners of the banks. I don't consider them as the real owners. The real owners are the depositors depositors. So their needs and aspirations need to be reflected in the financial sector as well. That's why I want them to be socially responsible, and we are giving guidelines after guidelines to the banks to be more conscious about their corporate role, corporate social responsibility, and we are making an institutionalized. We have developed a department in the central bank called Green Banking and Corporate Social Responsibility Department, and they are working with the banks to streamline the corporate social with the guidelines so that they can invest in productive kind of work. We have a separate department on agricultural financing. This is also working pretty hard and bringing banks into business case for agriculture, investment in agriculture. Initially, I took them as a social responsibility kind of business, but now they think that it's also business case, because not even 1 or 2% of the loans given to small entrepreneurs or agriculture get default, whereas the large ones, always defaulting and rescheduling. So that's why they think that, investing in a smaller investors is far better business-wise, So they are now gradually coming on their own to support this kind of inclusive initiatives which we have taken. The Basel-based standard setters have also lately begun paying attention to cost and instability risk from financial exclusion. The other day I was in Kuala Lumpur and I sat with the chairman of the Basel committee which sets standards, and the Queen of Belgium was also there, and all of them said that it's high time that Basel looks into these things, from a socially responsible perspectives rather than only working with the big guys and financing. So I thought that is they have started working, and SARC Finance, as I said, we are working together. All the governors, we are meeting regularly and learning from each other's experience and taking socially responsible financing forward. Bangladesh Bank and other South Asian central banks have recognized and utilized early on the stability gains from inclusive financing. I think Bangladesh Bank has done better because we are much more focused. The day I became a governor, if I remember, I stepped in and I said, I want to make the financial sector more humane. That was my first statement. And the next statement was that let's go out. All the senior officials of the central bank, I took them out for 48 hours or 72 hours in Tangail, and I locked them in. I said, we will debate on how to make financial inclusion our major strategy. And it came out as a strategic goal for us, and the moment we set out a 5 years goal, and then we are starting implementing on then creating new departments, creating new programs, and that's how, we are moving ahead. Inclusive financing has helped South Asian economies uphold domestic output and demand during and after the global financial crisis amid export growth weakness. So there was a danger, there was a downside risk that because the Americans and the Europeans are not doing so well, so demand for growth of their exports, of our exports, will be affected, and it was affected, no doubt about it. But we then went for financial incentives so that new markets are explored and they get extra incentives for new markets, and also remove some of the barriers so that the exporters don't feel the pressure, and that's how we have been able to maintain double-digit growth even in a difficult time like us. Even post Rana Plaza, many people said that was was a doom scenario, but we have put all our heads together. Even regulators have moved in to create an environment so that we can face this crisis, and we will be facing this crisis. What we have done as a regulator, I'll come back to that again. So inclusive financing has enhanced stability by diversifying credit risk in numerous small loans for diverse purposes, and by bringing new stable bases of numerous small deposits from the new inclusion clients. So this is very important lines. If you see that, if you have smaller loans, as I said, the smaller loans will not default all at a time. But if a couple of the big corporates default, then you have the instability built into the system. Again, you have a deposit base which is very, very robust. Then again, the base becomes very stable. Liquidity, there is hardly any liquidity problem for the bank. Even today, Bangladesh, banking interbank rate is around 6-7%. One bank can take money from others because there's a lot of stability in the deposits, because we have allowed banks to have bank accounts for the farmers at only 8 cents and without charge, so that the millions of dollars being deposited on those accounts, and this has become a pretty robust base, like that. 13 million bank accounts have been opened in that manner. That's how I think is a history. Not many countries, central banks, we pushed it actually, that let's do a bank account so that the non-bank, the unserved people can have bank accounts. We have now made it a compulsory that all banks must open an account for the government's workers as well, so that their salaries go like this, and that's how we are working for the society. Inclusive financing of client segments in dispersed remote locations being costly may not be immediate business case, but then after a while they feel that this becomes a business case. For that matter, we have asked them to have partnerships, so that even a bank branch is not there, but they can have a partnership with the MFI. They can have a partnership with a telephone agency or an NGO, so that they can take it forward. The financial inclusion move. Governments and central banks step in with such support measures as putting in place mobile phone smart card based ICT infrastructure for off-branch financial service delivery, low-cost funding, refinancing lines, and so forth, to drive costs down. So we are taking measures to drive the cost down. In Bangladesh, socially responsible financing began outside mainstream banking as microfinance movement of non-government finance institutions in the post-liberation 70s. You all know that how this MFIs came in Bangladesh. Although Grameen Bank was in fact born in the womb of central bank, as you know, many of them, it was a special project in the central bank. Other banks really came in to help it, so it grew out of that. Although it's not mentioned so much today, but the fact remains that it grew out of the womb of the central bank. But other MFIs like BRAC, ASHA, all were developing mainly because of the light touch, regulatory. We allowed them to flourish, without much of a regulation. But then we formed a microcredit regulatory, authority, where I am the chair, the governor is the chair. The only breeze is that governor is the chair, and they have a microcredit regulatory authority which is running like a central bank. Actually, it's central bank Mark II, only for the poor. So that's how we have innovated to create a regulation, so that everybody is looked after, so that financial stability, there is no danger of financial instability. So if they are not well regulated, say for example, if BRAC or ASHA fails to really run like a bank, at one point this could really create a continuous effect on the other banking sector as well. So we really wanted to be regulated, let them. There are now 618 well-regulated MFIs, and we want to use them as an arm of the bank, so that they can also work as an agent of the bank. So we are working on an agent concept and then using them for our financial inclusion. Again, directed lending in the post-liberation nationalized banking system took care of social priorities initially. As you know, in Bangladesh, we have seen that directed lending can end up, in some kind of inefficiencies or irregularities. So gradually, our banking system really moved for private kind of banking. Now, 70% of the assets are held by the private banks. Actually, it's other way around. But even then, public banks still play a very important role. So we went for the private sector banks, but we at the same time want that private sector banks to have the social responsible role. They cannot, as I said, they are not the real owners, so they cannot really go just for minting money and for profit kind of a maximization role. They need to play a social role. So we have put in that system in place. Bangladesh Bank responded by launching an initiative of mainstreaming socially responsible institutional ethos in the financial sector. When I said that you need to give 2.5% of the total loans to agriculture, last year alone it was 14,500 crore taka, and it's true. I said it's mandatory. Even the foreign banks has to make it. And the Standard Chartered Bank HFC initially they said, how do I make it? I don't have a rural branch. I said, don't worry, just go and sign an MOU with one of the MFIs which I regulate. So just give the money, and if you don't give the money, at the end of the day, I will sit down with how much target you had as a 2.5%, and then how much you have achieved. If you cannot achieve, the balance I'll take away. Just I'll take away and put you in the another reserve where at a lower rate of interest, so that you get the pinch of not being socially responsible. And we did it. Initially, Standard Chartered Bank lost a few millions on that. The next year they overdid it, and I said, all right, you take back that loss you made. So that's how we have been using, and they are now all working with the MFIs and all that, and partnership is working pretty well. So Bangladesh Bank has taken board all banks and financial institutions in Bangladesh in a countrywide inclusive financing promotion campaign with three main thrusts. These are the three kind of activities: smallholder and sharecropper agriculture, micro, small and medium scale productive rural and urban enterprises, renewable energy generation, effluent treatment and other projects of adoption of new energy efficient CHSG emission, carbon greenhouse gas emission, and reducing output practices. So these are the areas we are working on sustainable development front, and we have low cost funding for all of them. We have developed the refinance in our areas. And in addition, we have some innovations. As I said, we now have started school banking. About 2.2 million bank accounts have been opened by the students with their mothers as their co-signatories, and they really are learning banking right from the early days, and they are doing a lot of savings, a lot of banking, and all their payments are done through those bank accounts to their schools. So there's interesting things are happening there as well. Support and facilitation measures taken by Bangladesh Bank in promoting socially responsible financing. These are modernization of the payment system and financial services, ICT infrastructure, enabling introduction of mobile phone, smart card based off-branch financial service delivery. The first thing we did in Bangladesh Bank, that it has to be very modern. Payment system has to be modern. So we have developed automatic clearinghouse. We have developed electronic fund transfer. We have developed national payment system. We have developed all our activities, online and digitized. So there is hardly any paperwork into the banking system, and they're all following our cue. So it's becoming very green, in terms of emission of the green gas. So that's how we moved in, and again, digitization is number one on our agenda, and it has been working pretty well. Refinance lines against agriculture, SME and green financing. As I said, we have opened about 34 crore taka refinance line has been opened. Half of it really comes from the donor, development partners like JICA, ADB, and others, and another 50% we give it from our own fund, from the Bangladesh Bank fund. I'll give you an example how we give refinance. You all know, those who have done the research, the tenant farmers or the Borga Chashi, the sharecroppers, they hardly get any access to any financing. So I did my PhD on them. So I got, immediately, the moment I became a governor, on the very first month, I said, let's get them on board. And, my bankers were, tearing their hairs. How do you go there? I said, we'll have to find a bridge. Anyway, I called BRAC, Dr. Mahbub Hussain, and I said, give me a project. I want to reach them. So he gave me a project, and I gave 500 crore taka refinance directly to the BRAC, not through a bank, straight to the BRAC. And then I took 100% bank guarantee from him. I said, because this is a risky proposition, you have to give me 100% in a bank guarantee. So he gave me that, and I could convince the board that there is no risk from the central bank point of view. So they agreed. Would you believe it? After 4 or 5 years, what happened? 500,000 families of sharecroppers who never got money now getting money, and 99% recovery, and Bragg is giving extension services to them, agriculture product. About 50% of them are women farmers. So it's a lot of things are happening just because out of that one small program. And this has been evaluated by one of the professors, and he finds it's one of the best programs run by the central bank with a partnership with an MFI. So that's how initially politicians really raised their eyebrows that how do you central bank goes into partnership with the MFI, right? But somehow this has worked out pretty well. And again, on the agricultural credit itself, as I told you, 1/3 of the total agricultural credit is being channeled through the MFIs, by the bank MFI partnership. So that's again another innovation which we have done. Liberally granting licenses for new rural bank branches, permitting engagement of MFIs for bank loan disbursement and recovery. Earlier only 1/4 of the branches used to go to the rural areas, but I said, no, it has to be 1:1. If you have one branch in the urban areas, you'll have to have another branch in the rural areas. So now more branches are being opened in the rural areas than the urban areas. So that's how we are getting into the rural areas, and banks are finding it very, very effective because they mobilize deposits, they give SME loans. So this is smaller branches. I said, make me a two-person branch. Just take a laptop and sit down there with the mobile phones. You can have a rural branch. I'll consider it a rural branch, and a district branch can operate as the coordinator. So that's how the rural branches are coming forward, and it's a lot of things, financial inclusion happening there. No frill accounts for farmers and other underprivileged. We have a 10 taka account. We call it 10 taka account, and it's a 8 cents account. These are the accounts of the farmer. 13 million bank accounts have been opened on 10 taka account. About 1/3 of them are very active. And they are deposit there every month. I think few hundred crores taka they are keeping as deposits in those accounts, and all the money, particularly the government subsidies for agriculture, passing through those accounts. All the bank loans are passing through those accounts. All the remittances coming from abroad are passing through those accounts. So there is no middleman. The farmers can have the accounts, and operate, and they can take the money. And again, in addition, we have now opened similar accounts for the cleanliness workers. The scavengers, they never had any account, and they did, whatever salaries they used to get, 50% of them pocketed by the employers. I said, no way, give them into the bank account. So I have given them 10 taka accounts. So take it and put all your money there. So they are so happy that money is finally reaching them. Again, similar bank accounts have been opened for this pension holder, the old age pension holders, the freedom fighters. These are the people who never used to get money. Now they are getting all money without any intervention by the middleman. This is something. It's also good governance, I would say. That's happening, and I'm very happy. Now the garments workers will also have a similar accounts. I have given an instruction. So this is very good, happening there. Available windows of low-cost finance, refinance, financing of renewable energy, affluent treatment, and other environmentally benign green projects. We are allowing green banking, and I'll leave a publication on green banking. We are the only central bank in the world, I would say, who has gone specifically on a green banking initiative. And we give a refinance for, if you have a solar power, you will be getting that. If you want to have a treatment plant investment, you can have it there. And if you want to really, again, all the banks will have to give me the risk grading, environmental risk grading. So every 3rd month we take the carbon footprint of all the banks, whether they are increasing the carbon or declining. So we get that report every day. So compliance is very tough, and then we are working on and again, automation is a #1 go for the green banking. So if you less paper, less, that's how you can use and make it a green bank. effective use of bank MFI partnership, engaging public and private stakeholders of SME development. You will be happy to know in a couple of weeks' time, we will have incubators for 2,000 new entrepreneurs. The Dhaka Chamber of Commerce is playing that role of initiating this movement, and we from the central bank will open a refinance line of initially 100 crore taka to give money to these new entrepreneurs coming out of the colleges and universities, and will start becoming new entrepreneurs through that fund. So that's how we are being pioneers in terms of developing entrepreneurship for the younger groups, and we have given enough facilities for outsourcing facilities. We have liberalized our foreign exchange regime so that outsourcing can take place, and now people earning money sitting in their room, in the university hostels as an outsourcing agents, all throughout. And we have allowed that. Even we have allowed virtual credit card, because many of the younger people coming from the rural areas don't have rich fathers or mothers to have a credit card, international credit card. So I told the bank, so why don't you have a credit card, virtual credit card, and you allow that number to a young entrepreneur so that he can use it as a virtual credit card. And that's how a lot of people are taking advantage and expanding the outsourcing businesses even in the rural areas. So that's how we are helping the unemployment issues as well. Look at the agricultural credit. That's how, over the last 5 years, this has been, and everywhere you can see that last year the target was, less than what we achieved, 104%, and we make it a point that the banks only don't speak about it, they do it. My conditionality is very simple. I said, I don't want anything from you. You banks, you are giving agricultural credit. I don't know where you are giving. It's your business. But I only want the cell phone number of the farmers you have given the money. And then what I do, all the numbers are there in my office. So I allow my staff to really call them randomly whether they got the money or not. And from time to time, I sit with my staff and call myself. Initially, they are quite baffled. They said, "Are you sure you are the governor?" I said, "Yes, I'm the governor." I said, "What happened? I see in your record that Janata Bank gave you 20,000 taka. Did you get 20,000 taka or 19,000 taka?" No, sir. This time 20,000 taka. I know they know that you will call us. So that's a kind of environment we have set in, and that's helping us, and we are getting.
Can you turn your mic on, Tarun?
It would be, I'm sure people have a lot of questions because this is a very exciting and activist central banker that you're encountering.
So you want me finish first?
Yeah, if you open it up, you'll get a lot of interest because there's a fairly tight.
Okay, I'll be pretty first.
I think it'll be more.
Okay, let me go first, because there are so many stories and I can't forget about the stories unless to make it. Again, these are the outcome of the enterprises that are coming up from the socially responsible financing. Look at this MFS growth. This is one area which is very interesting. Bangladesh is a bank-led mobile finance service. We don't allow telcos to take the lead in terms of mobile banking. We only allow the banks to take the lead, and we make them responsible. And that's how you can see the numbers. It's a month-wise numbers. It's 20% growth every month now taking place. Now we have about 7.2 million by July bank accounts, and it's a huge kind of expansion taking place there. And one of the actors is here sitting in the room. The Bikash. That's an interesting going on there. And they are doing miracles in the sense that this is the speed they are financially being inclusive. Look at this. The financial inclusion. This is a cash in. Earlier, the money used to come from rural areas through the banks to the urban areas, and they used to really help the rich. Now it's the other way around. Money going from Dhaka to rural areas through mobile banking, and this is somehow you can see that how this is happening. Again, this is a story about the MFS, which is going beyond money transfers. They have done many things. They are using for microfinance repayments, collection and disbursement, labor-intensive sector, remote outreach, government employment, G2P, poverty alleviation program, m-commerce through 1,000 merchant or the agents banking, that we have developed. All little amounts accumulate to provide large capital opportunities at a macro level to contribute in the country's economy. So we have a 1 taka and a 25 taka transaction, but then this is not get spent all on a day. So this is a regular kind of deposit base which we are building up from small scratches. These are the key players in the mobile bankings, and again, the rural branches per 1,000 adults, we have started a bit late. Indians are doing far better in there, but it is, as I said, I have made it a point that it has to be 1:1, so it will be improving, so that more rural branches will be coming. But again, we are making it up through partnership with the MFIs. Again, this is impressive. These are the financial inclusion. Sri Lanka undoubtedly the best in terms of financial inclusion. But next is Bangladesh. You can see that, account at a formal financial institution plus at the 15 plus is about 50%. Account at a formal financial institution female is about 35%. Account at a formal financial institution income bottom 40% is about 35%, which is much higher than all our neighbors. You can see that, except Sri Lanka. Again, the medium scale industries share of industrial term credit has increased. Because of this, our emphasis on the SMEs, more of the medium and the small industries, they are expanding faster than the medium scale industries, the share growing from 23% to 30%, and the small one from 4% to 7%, and overall SME increased from 27% to 37%, by 10% almost. Again, is a sustained and stable macroeconomic fundamentals because of this financial inclusion. You can see the real growth, 6 plus, all for the last decade. Over the last 4 years alone, it is about 6.2%. And again, but we are doing all this financial inclusion not at the cost of our, monetary policy. And you can see that your, inflation falling down, is coming down to 7%, and we are taking care inflation moderated at single digit. It was 13% couple of years back. Again, see substantial decline in the poverty. You see that 2010 it came down to 31.5%, but now it's 26% actually. Even the extreme poor, it has gone down to 17%. Maybe now it's about 15%. This is a substantial gains on the poverty reduction front. On the other South Asian, I'll just touch them. I cannot, as I said, I'm not conversant with all of them. In India, both government and central bank are likewise engaging with the financial service providers for promotion of socially responsible inclusive financing. But there the central bank doesn't take the lead. It's the NABARD, the state bank, which is a regulator and takes the lead. But again, central bank has a central kind of credibility and authority. So unless central bank really comes in, sometimes individual banks cannot put that pressure actually, So although they are doing fine, but I thought, and a central bank could, in fact, of late, Rajan has, created a panel. I know your friend, So they are how to deepen the financial inclusion. They were trying to, have a paper, a working paper pretty soon. The RBI has a Financial Inclusion Advisory Committee with members of the RBI and board directors and other market intermediaries and sustenance, and also they are going for accessible, affordable financial services. There is a very good policy in the RBI. Every 2,000 people must have a bank branch. That's the policy. I think that's one good policy, and I think one should. They also have an agent banking kind of policies, which is good. Priority sectors, they have a priority sectors also, agriculture, weaker sections of the population, education, housing, export financing, they have a certain kind of priority sector. And again, they have to have a financial inclusion plan for 3 years, every bank, and their ICT-based off-branch service is also important through business correspondence, they call it, agent banking. All right, I will just show you the chart and then I'll discuss on that. This is RBI business correspondence, and then MFIs in Bangladesh, MRA is an authority, but in India they don't have an authority like that, so NABARD is taking care of that. In Pakistan, they have this similar kind of thing. Agriculture and SME are main thrust, and again a large number of bank branches in Pakistan are agriculture designated. SPB's financial inclusion program has put in place support measures for SME, MFIs, and they have a microfinance banks in Pakistan, which is not there in any other place, and they have an access to a poverty reduction fund as well. This is they have also taken initiative for housing finance and branchless banking, and also bank. They don't have a bank-led model. They have a much more neutral kind of model for finance. In Nepal, also the government and the Nepal Rashtra Bank are both engaged in promotion of inclusive financing as elsewhere, but they are they have micro enterprise development fund and also self-reliance fund, they call it. NRB under its financial inclusion program encourages opening of new branches by banks and financial institutions. NRB also sets targets level for to be maintained by the banks and financial institutions. Sri Lanka, as I said, is far better, the best in Asia, both in coverage and depth. Microfinance sector in Sri Lanka is considered to have attained greater community orientation, and Central Bank of Sri Lanka is also implementing several donor-funded projects and SMEs and microfinance. And I'm just at the last bit. Let me summarize what we see both commonality and diversity of approaches in South Asian initiatives for promoting socially responsible, inclusive financing, arising from similarities and differences in local environment. And this is obvious. If you are in mountain, you'll have to think like a mountain. You cannot think like an ocean, that you are dead. So I think this is contextualized. It is good that this is happening. Near-term priorities on way forward are to bring ongoing initiatives to successful completion and to ensure their sustainability by earliest attainment of viability, reaping all possible efficiency gains. In efficiency gains is important because our remittance transfer is only $1 per transfer, which is one of the lowest in the world. That's why, because of the inclusiveness of the banking, we could do it. But Pakistan, it's about $2. So that's how I thought this efficiency is important. Over the longer term, new challenges to inclusiveness will emerge from new global financial instability as unbridled global liquidity expansion disproportionate with the real output growth continues. And if this continues, we may have another financial crisis, and Bangladesh or countries like us will suffer for this because of the global kind of contagion effect. Successfully ingrained socially responsible ethos will keep our financial institutions and markets well immunized and motivated in inclusive financing and away from irresponsible speculative risk. That's our monetary policy is very categorical. Say that we will go for productive investment only, will not support speculative investment. I have almost stopped financing in a real estate. I have given a target that they cannot get more than 35% of their paid up capital for the capital market and all that. So that's how we are bringing order into the market. And perspective from South Asia focused forums of academicians like this will be valuable in charting the path ahead for steady enhancement of South Asia contribution to global prosperity and stability. And we always feel that we should come out of the small kind of investments to larger ones. After the post Rana Plaza tragedy, central bank moved forward and went for special efforts. We immediately mobilized about 100 crore taka from the different corporate social responsibility funds of the bank and gave it to the victims through the Prime Minister. And then next move we have taken, we are strengthening the capacity of the fire brigade so that they are well equipped. We are thinking of giving a reception to the volunteers who work there to encourage future volunteerism, so that we will have a reception, and we'll try to find out about 100 of them who are not in jobs. If we can give them a job, that would be another move. And also we have created another 100 crore taka refinance fund so that the less than compliant industries can get SME loan. At a 16 years loan at a low rate of interest, and Japanese are helping us, JICA fund. So that's how we as a regulator, we have jumped in to give in more credibility that this is our lifeline and we want this to sustain this sector. And lot of I would say confidence has been rebuilt because of the step in of the central bank into this developmental funding. Now I just stop here and I'll give you a small video about a few minutes, if you can have it.
this after the video because I know people have a bunch of.
Can you help me? How do you run the video? It's a few minutes video only. So I think you will get a feeling that how we are doing this. Sorry for being a bit longish.
Should we do this now or later?
No. See the video first, because this is I'm only talking, but you will see for yourself what is going on. No. Yeah, expand it. Yeah. Keep the sound. Give the maximum sound.
Endowed by the gems of nature, serene, subtle, subliminal, this is Bangladesh,
Can you put up
the
the
lush
light?
green
Yeah.
delta, with the setting like an orchid, glittered all abound by nature's soothing splashes of beauty. The vast rural outback and one of the world's industrious people are the two key attributes of its economy as the major driving force. In other words, the farm and the farmers constitute the artery of the economy's lifeblood. The much-awaited banking care and support, from which they have been deprived all along, has been made accessible for the first time by the country's central bank, the Bangladesh Bank. Within only 4.5 years, a multitude of more than 13.2 million villagers had access to banking, opening their accounts only by depositing 10 Bangladeshi taka, or roughly 8 cents, and most of them are farmers. Beside performing its core responsibility of central banking, Bangladesh Bank has attached special importance to what is being widely appreciated as financial inclusion in order to bring many multifaceted service initiatives under the gamut of finance. Women entrepreneurs are increasing in number in the SME financial programs, and the support leads directly to improve women's livelihood and empowerment. New jobs have been created in the rural outback, which until recently was absurd. Positive impact of the development and empowerment agenda has made a long leap in the country's rural economy. Bangladesh Bank introduced a refinance scheme worth 500 crore or 5 billion Bangladeshi taka to facilitate the sharecroppers in 2009. Nearly 0.7 million such sharecroppers have been extended this credit facility through Bragade, the country's leading microfinance organization, and most of them are women farmers. Bangladesh Bank has issued instruction to scheduled banks for disbursing SME loans among the farmers on the basis of cluster approach. As a result, many clusters have been developed, including light engineering and machinery, needlework and boutiques, handicrafts, Manipuri handloom weaving, etc.
1981 সালে আমার স্বামী মারা গেছে। আমার বাচ্চারই ছোট ছোট 3টা বাচ্চা। বড় দুশ্চিন্তা হইয়া আমি এই কাজ শুরু করি, কুটির শিল্পী, হস্তশিল্পী। এখন এই জায়গায় আইসা খুবই ভালো আছি, বাচ্চারাও মানুষ করছি। বাংলাদেশ গভর্নর আমরা সহযোগিতা করতেছে, খোঁজ খবর নিতেছে।
Bangladesh is one of the countries under risk of climate change. That has led to the creation of a refinance fund worth 200 crore taka from own sources of Bangladesh Bank, dedicated for funding initiatives in the environment-friendly energy sector at lower interest and softer terms. In this sector, solar-powered irrigation has been strongly encouraged in place of electric or diesel-powered irrigation. This and many such rural-friendly steps have ranked Bangladesh Bank as a pioneer and outstanding from other central banks in South Asia. Mobile banking service is yet another remarkable tool of monetary transaction introduced by Bangladesh Bank, reaching out to the remotest nooks of the country. Rural people are getting the fullest advantage of mobile banking for services like receiving remittances from abroad, paying utility bills and making e-shopping, bringing a discernible change in rural life of Bangladesh.
আগে বাড়িতে টাকা বাড়িতে কষ্ট হতো, এখন টাকা বাড়িতে কষ্ট না, টাকা বাড়িতে মোবাইল।
In a bid to make banking more human and dedicated to welfare, Bangladesh Bank has taken appreciable effort to bring sporadic CSR endowments under an institutional framework, which is now manifest in the concerted service interventions like student stipends, distribution of warm clothing, returning sight to the blind and the sight impaired. Initiatives of the central bank like these have opened new vistas to the poorest of the poor and helpless with a bright ray of hope. And to make the changes possible by managing the initiatives digitally, Bangladesh Bank, or for that matter, the nation's entire financial management has been brought under an integrated IT infrastructure. Bangladesh Bank itself has been successful in making it completely digitized. It is taking the country's banking to a newer height of digital accuracy and speed through gradually implementing projects like the automated central clearinghouse, electronic fund transfer, total online banking, e-commerce, national payment switch systems, and so on and so forth. Digital management, integration and control keep the pace and flawlessness in banking to higher heights, offering tomorrow's banking today.
We from the Bangladesh Bank and the government of Bangladesh, we too are in the process. And we thought, if we have a socially responsible investment and followed by socially responsible financing, we can face the financial crisis much better than any other countries.
This maiden journey into modernity, stepped up by Bangladesh Bank, along with the entire financial institutions of the country, keeps up the dynamics of the nation's economy. The day seems too close when Bangladesh economy will take the world by surprise, not only by the indices of performance, but by the warmth of its vibrancy, eluding all its social and human corollaries with the spirit of patriotism, equality, and welfare.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry we're out of time, but it was very stimulating, and thank you so much for giving us a nice overview. And the Institute, we share your enthusiasm and passion for not only the social aspects of what you're doing, but also the comparative aspects across different countries. So I hope we can all stay in touch and be collaborative in different ways. Thank you all.
Thank you.
There's no time.